All right, lads, welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball. Myself and Shane here back once again. Before we get into the episode, obviously, I'm not in San Francisco. This is the closest I'm getting wearing a San Francisco Giants hat. We mentioned the last couple of episodes that both of us were ill, and mine came back way worse than it was before. I had to go back on really strong antibiotics literally like a couple of days before I was due to travel, and I was pretty much bedridden, couldn't do anything, definitely wasn't in a state to travel. And just finished those today. Still taking a lot out of me because they're very strong medication that was on. So really disappointed to miss out on heading to San Francisco to cover the Super Bowl, but I'm sure there'll be plenty more chances in the future, and hopefully we'll get Who's Got the Ball over there pretty soon. And as I said, plenty more to come, so let's not get too down on it. But yeah, that's why we've got our regular release on a Friday instead of what we were going to do as an early Tuesday episode. So that's why it's dropping into your feeds on Friday. And as I'll say later, I've got an extra episode coming on Saturday with Michael just talking all NBA trade deadlines. So that's going to be releasing on Saturday. So two episodes for you still this week. But Shane, what's the crack?
Not a whole lot. I went to see the Anfield Rap live in Dolan's last night, so I'm a small bit worse from where two of the lads got added into a group chat I'm in from the Anfield Rap. However, I managed to pull that one off, so just waiting for them patiently to leave because I think they are surely going to leave the podcast with me and three of my friends talking about Liverpool. But other than that, it's been a quiet week. I am finally off those antibiotics as well. I was on the same one as you, and they were just mind blowing. Whatever's in them, I know they do the job and get rid of whatever it is, but my God, they just take every bit of energy out of you as well. So just wanted to put that in there. Other than that, all quiet. Looking forward to people seeing another masterclass of an episode from us.
Yeah, yeah, as usual, always with the good stuff, and you get the extra full experience with the two of us now that I'm not in San Francisco, so it's not broken up or anything like that. We got the full usual episode for you, so quite a treat. Don't say we don't do anything for you. Ireland against France tonight in the Six Nations. You'll know the crack with the story tomorrow. The crack with the story, the crack with the score tomorrow when you listen to this because it'll be Friday. But I'm kind of nervous about that one. To be
I
honest,
can
like
tell you now what the score was. The score was 31-19 to France.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if France did win by double digits. Pretty nervous for that. But let's get into what we talked about in this episode. So obviously we led with a Super Bowl preview. Had to be done. Had to get into the big game, give our predictions on who we thought was going to win, and the thoughts behind all of it. We got into individual players and quarterbacks and the whole thing. Plenty of detail in there for you. So full preview to listen into. We moved into the NBA then. We talked about the Anthony Davis and the James Harden trades because they're the two major ones that went down on Wednesday and Tuesday and Wednesday. Everything that went down outside of that and everything that goes down on Thursday night before the deadline will be covered with myself and Michael on Saturday's episode. Then we gave our Gone Chance picks. I'm in a 4 point lead at the moment. Moving into the performance of the weekend, then for last weekend in the Premier League, it was Brentford beating Villa. And we took our time to talk about them because they've been so impressive and that Irish connection is strong there with them. Then we asked the question, can West Ham catch Forest? We talked about our thoughts on that and some key games coming up that will most likely determine the answer to that question. Then Liverpool versus Man City preview for the weekend. That's the big one in Super Sunday. We're both very much looking forward to that. I think we both thought there'd be a lot of goals and a lot of excitement. So we listen to our thoughts there on that one. To wrap the episode, we've got power rankings as usual. So a packed episode. Hope you enjoy it. Episode 60 hitting your ears now. Let's get into it. Okay, so where else to start other than the Super Bowl? I guess it's the biggest day of the year for a lot of sports fans. This year is going to be pretty cool because obviously we've got the World Cup as well, so it's probably not the biggest moment of the year for us, considering we're soccer fans too, and that's kind of the pinnacle. But this is a close second. It's finally here though. Like it feels like it came around so quickly. So the fact that the Super Bowl is this Sunday in San Francisco is absolutely mad. Like it seems like the season was gone by in the blink of an eye. Like we are waiting for it to come so quickly, and now it's gone. But we've got our two teams. It's the Patriots and Seahawks. We're going to give you our breakdown, what we think, everything. for this big game on Sunday. So let's start with the quarterbacks. Drake Maye, underwhelming, I guess, so far in the playoffs. He's gone 10 for 21 for 86 yards in the AFC Championship game. Regardless of weather, that's a pretty horrendous stat line. And then when you compare it to Sam Darnold, who had the best game of his life, 25 of 36 for 346 yards and three touchdowns against the Rams, like there's a stark difference there. For me, that's a key point to start. And if that carries on into the game, then this is no contest already.
Yeah, that is. I know it's very easy to say, but that is the winning and the losing of this game is if Drake May shows up or not. If Drake May shows up, then it can be a competitive game, and that's really all I'm looking for here because I only see one winner. I just want it to not be complete blowout where you're going to sleep at halftime because the halftime show isn't for you anyway. So just go to bed at 1:30 and get a good night's sleep. I want it to be competitive going into the fourth quarter, and a lot of it depends on which Drake May shows up because I think we can say with a lot of confidence that Sam Darnold is going to show up. He's shown up all season. He learned from last year with the Vikings what not to do in a playoff game, and he hasn't done it once this year. He's been superb and especially superb throughout the playoffs. So we can say with confidence he'll show up, but it's all on Drake May showing up, and I really hope he does.
Yeah, yeah, I think you make a good point about last season's playoffs and Darnold last season in general, because like when it came to the main part of the season, when it came to the important part, they lost that game to get the one seed, and then ultimately after that, then they went out very quickly. But this time around, he didn't make that same mistake. They beat the 49ers to grab the one seed, got the bye week, played the Niners again and absolutely wiped the floor with them, and then beat the Rams. Like the run hasn't been easy because those three games are probably the three biggest of his career, especially considering it's against divisional opponents. The Rams gave him so much trouble during the season, causing I think he had six interceptions in two games against them in the regular season. And then come into the playoffs, he hasn't had one interception in those two Niners games and in the Rams game, which it's just a major turnaround. And it's funny to say that we know that he's not going to stumble because he was kind of known for that. That was something
Yeah.
everybody was waiting for. And now all of a sudden, I mentioned it last week, but Drake May has a minus 17.7 EPA as a passer in the playoffs. There's only one other quarterback who's had a negative one, and that was Jimmy Garoppolo in 2019. It's crazy how the picture going into this game is now that can May perform and Darnold is definitely going to. When if you had said it maybe 4 or 5 weeks ago, everyone's like, well, Darnold still needs to prove it in the major part of the season, and May looks like he can do it. But people forget that May is only in his second year, and yeah, it's not exactly an easy task, but he hasn't
Mm.
really lived up to the playoffs as of yet.
No, but they still found a way to get through the games and they are still in a Super Bowl. So we do have to give them a bit of
Yeah.
respect for that, especially that the Texans game. Just their defense got them through that really, really well. Everyone was talking about the Texans defense are going to put them up, run a mock or do a mockery of it, but the Patriots defense stood up really, really well, and they're going to need to do that again on Sunday because if you give Jackson Smith and Jigba any sort of space, then he's going to hurt you. Cooper Cup looks like he can hurt you at any time now as well at the moment. So it's really hard to see kind of I just don't I only see one winner. Being perfectly honest. I do think the Seahawks are going to win it. The Seahawks are 4-9, the Patriots are 7-4. So if you put a tenner on the Patriots, you'd lose it. Um I just I just I just think that I've written them the Patriots off all season and they've proved me wrong over and over again, but I just don't see a way where they can put up enough points to stop the Seahawks putting up more than them in this game.
Yeah, I've always been the same this season, just waiting for the Patriots to stumble. But then you look at you can only beat who's in front of you, and they did that. And then in the playoffs, you said they found a way to get through. Their defense has been superb, like a lot better than I thought it would be. And
Mm.
their red zone defense improved as well, which was quite poor during the regular season. That definitely took a turn in the right direction. But some of their major players, like Stefan Diggs, is going to have a massive game if this is going to be won, because what other skill players can you rely on against this kind of Seahawks defense that's so good? Like, who else are you relying on there? Like maybe Booty if he gets a one-on-one on the outside, and one big throw from May sets them up. Other than that, Diggs is the guy that I think is going to have to perform, and he hasn't during the playoffs, and that's down to May's play more than his, I think. But still, he needs to show up because out of everyone on the Patriots offense, he's the one star guy that you'd say, right, this is where you need to show up on the biggest stage of all. You've got your chance in the Super Bowl. Can you do it now? Because this Seahawks defense is so stacked that I really don't like any of the matchups for the Patriots. I don't like their chances of running the ball that well.
Hmm.
I know Stevenson cleaned up his fumble issues, but it's going to be tough. So I think it's going to be down one to Stephon Diggs, and the second thing is going to be down to you mentioned JSN, how he matches up with Christian Gonzalez. If he manages to keep JSN quiet and Diggs can do it on the other side, then the Patriots have a chance. But if those two things don't come off, I don't see big enough players around for the Patriots to step up for this game.
How do you keep JSN quiet though? Is the question. Like no one has managed to find a way to do it in his 2 years in the league now. He runs all over everyone. There's nothing anyone can do. So if you can't stop him, then you need to slow him. But then if you double him, you're leaving someone else open. You're leaving Cooper Cup open, or you're leaving uh Kenneth Walker open. Like there's so many people that if you try and focus on one, they're like, okay, that's fine. We have another two or three options here we can go to instead, and best of luck covering them all. So
Yeah,
like I was saying, how Drake May is the winning and losing of this, but JSN is the winning and losing on the other side. So if he shows up in any sort of way, then the Patriots are in big, big trouble if they can't even slow him down, let alone stop him. And I don't see how you can stop him. I think he's almost like you might as well start the game 7-0 to the Seahawks because he's definitely going to get a touchdown at some point. So might as well just put that on the board and kind of work from there. There's no one on the Patriots team that you can say is guaranteeing you a touchdown or guaranteeing you a score. I know you mentioned Stevenson has tidied up his fumble issues, but like he's still there is always going to be that fear in the back of everyone's mind that he's one big hit away from just fumbling it again. He's never like he was good in the first year, but after that, he's never been really good at protecting the ball. Ever since he's kind of just has fumble after fumble after fumble. So if the Seahawks just attack the ball when they're tackling him, then he's more likely to drop it than he is to hold on to it. I think at some point in the game. So
yeah.
we'll just have to wait and see. But I think Jackson Smith and Jigba is going to have a bit of fun, unless Christian Gonzalez can manage to just do what no one else has done all season.
I think if JSN as well has like a massive game where he has like 170 yards and two touchdowns, then you could see him getting the MVP. I know that Darnold would have had to have a good game too, but if he caps off his season by reaching that 2,000 yard mark, which I think he needs like 35 yards to get there to be an elite company. And it's crazy how he's evolved his game too. Like, I agree with you. I don't think there's any way to slow him down because last season he led the league in the slot in total yardage, and this season he led the league on the outside in total yardage. No player has ever done that. Led in two separate seasons, lined up in the slot and lined up outside. Usually you have one speciality and you might be good enough at the other, but you're not elite. He's
Mm.
elite no matter where you line him up. He's, for my money right now, he's the best receiver in the league. And yeah, I think you're right that it's going to be very, very tough to slow him down. And then you look at Kenneth Walker, who's on an absolute heater. Can the Patriots
Mm.
slow him down? Because they've slowed every running back down that they've faced in the playoffs so far. If they do slow him down, it limits the play action ability for Darnold, which he loves. Could that make him a little bit uncomfortable if he doesn't have Kenneth Walker to rely on? That's another question mark, something the Patriots could get after. So, do you think that maybe the Patriots could slow them down in that way?
I think if you slow down Kenneth Walker, then it's just going to lead to more ball going to JSN. So it's
Yeah.
kind of a. I was listening to a thing last night and it was like, would you rather be stabbed or shot? So it's like, yeah, do you want to slow down Kenneth Walker? Do you want to slow down Jackson Smith and Jigba? Because either way, they're just going to go to the other one. So it's not going to make a massive difference. Well, it will make a difference, but it won't be a massive difference for Sam Darnold, if he has to just go long to JSN, or if he does love the little drop down there to Kenna Walker and just let him do his stuff. But do you know what, the Patriots are going to have to try something. So if it means they start by trying to slow down Kenna Walker and then they're not seeing much benefit of it, then they can switch it up and try and slow down JSN then. But oh, it could get ugly. As I said at the top, I really hope it doesn't. But I also do hope the Seahawks win because I don't want the Patriots to win in this.
As a Jets fan, you should never want the Patriots to win. Like,
No.
so that's understandable. But like, I just think they do have to pick their poison almost because if
Mm,
at the start, I think they probably will try to slow down Walker because in their minds, that's the most logical first thing to try. Because if you slow him down, it might slow down the play action, which might in turn slow down JSN because Darnold is a little bit uncomfortable. So let's see if the Patriots come out doing that first. I think that could be something they do, kind of pack the box, make it hard for Walker to get going, and then try and see if Gonzalez can live on an island with JSN for as long as possible.
mm,
And then maybe later in the game you have to change that up. But I think we could see a close enough first half. The Seahawks have done that a good few times in the regular season where they've had a kind of close first half in a game, and then out of nowhere in the second half they just score like 30 points, and then it's like, wow, this it was kind of something that you slow down for a while, but you can't slow it down forever.
yeah.
So one more key player I wanted to talk about is Nick Emanwari. The fact that he's only in his first year for the Seahawks is crazy. 35th overall pick, plays that safety or nickel position. Like the fact he's 6'3", 220 pounds, he's a unit. He does everything. 81 combined tackles this season, 9 tackles for loss, 2.5 sacks, and an interception from that position on 11 defended passes. And that was just in his 14 regular season games. Like if he played a full season every single game, the stats he could put up are
Yeah.
ridiculous. But he's like their Kyle Hamilton. I know McDonald had that over in with the Ravens, so that's obviously why he wanted that style of player. And I just think that he's immense. He has a bit of a an ankle injury. It's being reported coming out the last few days, but it's the Super Bowl. Even if it's something pretty bad, they'll strap that up and get him out there. And he'll play. I think he'll play out of his skin. He'll be a big player here. And that is something to look at. He hasn't, had it forced any fumbles this season, but if he gets a hard tackle on Stevenson, I'd put my money on him knocking the ball out. And he's one to watch for me in this game because his ability this season has been just amazing to watch as a rookie. To get someone in the second round like that is nuts.
Yeah, like last year we Cooper DeJean kind of as the man who took over the league from corner, and this year we have that fella. I'm not going to try and say his name. I don't want another clip of me butchering someone's name, but he's had an unbelievable season. You've listed out his stats there, and he has been the kind of catalyst for this defense, and they just trusted him. They trust him so much. I don't blame him. I trust him as well. I trust him to get a fumble or two out of Stevenson here, 100%. And I just think the way the Seahawks have just turned around this whole season from last year. No, they were okay last year, but what they've done this year compared to last year is just it's day and night. Like, it's just incredible, and he's been absolutely superb. And as you said, he's only a rookie. He's only going to get better. Give him a full season, full regular season, 17 games, and see what his stats are. I'd say they'll be quite scary if he gets a full season next year.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. And at the start of the season, I never could have imagined the Patriots getting to the Super Bowl. Even at the start of the playoffs, even 2 weeks ago, I thought someone's going to stop them. So credit to them for getting here.
Mm,
Amazing job by Vrabel to coach this team up because there's still kind of a mismatch of parts that needs more years to build around May, but they're already here. So that's a testament to them. The Seahawks, as early as in the off season, I was on Danny O'Brien's radio show, and I said, of all the teams that didn't make the playoffs last season, the Seahawks are by far the scariest because of how they started to settle into that McDonald defense last season towards the back end. It took a while for them to learn it, but once they got it, they had a 10-7 season and they were right on the cusp. Now, I never thought that they would get this far because Darnold was such a question mark at the start of the season,
yeah.
despite Kubiak being a play action king and that working for him. But just to get here, these two teams amazing. As I said last week, it's the most unlikely Super Bowl ever based on the odds. So yeah, both of these teams they deserve it for what they did, regardless of who they played. They still got here. You have to get here, and that's a testament to individual players, but also the coaching. And I just like McDonald. I love the Seahawks. I love what they've done, and I'm going with a 31-14 win for them here because I think the Patriots can maybe keep it close enough up until we get into the second half, but that's when it becomes kind of business end of things, and that's where the Seahawks come out on top, and they're going to get the win here by 17 points. I have them winning.
I didn't want to give a score prediction because every score prediction I've given throughout the playoffs has been miserable to say the least. What will I go for? I'll go for 21-10 to the Seahawks.
Okay, pretty low
I think it's going
scoring.
to be miles off. I think it'll be 10 all at halftime. Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I
Yeah,
actually, I didn't even think of giving a score because I was hoping to avoid it. So I didn't even try and put one together in my head. So there we go. We'll just go with the one you've given there.
yeah. Let's see how it goes. I think that's teetering on the line as well. It's like the money line or the points line is like 45. So kind of it's usually close enough. So let's hit around
Yeah.
that. And the Seahawks are 5 point favorites. I think that's generous for the Patriots, to be honest. I would take the Seahawks -6.5 to cover by a touchdown, maybe if I was going to do something there. And then JSN, I like him as the MVP is 5-1 too. So just some
Oh,
little
solid.
bits thrown out there for you. Let's move into the NBA then. Absolutely going wild at the moment with the trades. We're recording this 2 hours before the deadline, so there's the possibility that a few more bits have gone on. Some more bits have gone on yesterday and today that we're not going to talk about. So we're going to have an extra episode I'm going to record with Michael tomorrow morning just on the extra bits and throw out the extra episode on Saturday morning. So keep an eye out for that because that'll be kind of our thoughts on all the NBA trades that we didn't discuss today and maybe some extra thoughts. But let's focus on the main two. First of all, James Harden has gone to the Cavs. Your ex star in Houston. Obviously, when he left Houston, it was a bit bitter at the end. He tends to do that when he walks out the
Yeah.
door of teams. It looks like the Clippers basically said that they weren't going to give him the money that he wanted, so maybe Cleveland are going to. I don't. I'm thinking about this, and look, the full trade is the Clippers get Darius Garland and a future second rounder, and the Cavs get James Harden. Now, Harden this season has been brilliant. 25, 8 and 5. 35% from three is okay. And he's getting back to the free throw line, 8.5 attempts per game, which is something that was lacking the last few years. So he can still do that. But I can't imagine a world where like a Cleveland fan could be overly happy with this because how many times has Harden fallen apart in the playoffs? He's probably the worst playoff superstar we've seen in our time watching the NBA. He consistently falls apart, and then he doesn't really want to get involved if he doesn't have the ball. And they already have Donovan Mitchell. Now, further into this is that the Cleveland Cavs would have had to check this with Mitchell before they did it. Now, that's not to say he didn't want Garland, but presumably he was okay with this move, or else they wouldn't have done it because he's their star. So, all that being said, I don't know if this was the right thing to do for Cleveland. Like, does it push them any further down the chance of winning given Harden's playoff failures in the past?
Yeah, I think it's one of those where they might as well have just not done it. Because they haven't gained anything. So Garland was averaging 18 points, 2.5 rebounds, 7 assists. So it's
Mhm.
only a 7 point jump there to what Harden has been doing. And as you
Mhm.
said, Harden is more likely to fall apart in the playoffs than go out and put up a 50 pointer. So it's one that's really, really strange. Like they're losing, like they are losing an 11-time All-Star, the Clippers. So the, I can't get my words out. I don't understand it from either side. I don't understand what the Clippers get out of it by bringing in Garland instead. I don't understand what the Cavs get out of it by getting rid of Garland to bring him in. To answer your question, no, it doesn't put them any closer to a title than they are already. they're worse than they were last year. I know they've had a bit of an upturn recently, but like if they made this move last year, it would make a lot more sense than making it this year. Because last year they looked like they were a team that could go all the way, and then they just fell apart when it came to playing the Pacers. So if this was a move they made last year, fair enough. But this year, I don't get it at all.
Yeah, I feel like if they moved Garland in the summer too, they could have got way more than this. Like,
Yeah,
you're giving away a 26-year-old who you listed his stats this season, but at his peak, he like in 21, 22, he had 22 points per game, 8.5 assists, and he was shooting 38% from three that season. And he's only 26, as I just said, whereas Harden is 36. Garland's only managed to play 26 games this season with injury, 30 minutes per game. Realistically, how long are you getting out of Harden? You don't do this unless Harden has been told that he's getting an extension.
yeah,
So you're going to pay him till he's 38, and then you just gave up like a young star who's happy to be the second option and not somebody who demands the ball like Harden does. Like, I like this for the Clippers, to be honest. I know I get your point saying what's the point in them doing this for this season? It probably doesn't push them closer to winning. It probably pushes them further away from winning. But for the future, I think it's a good move because they bought low. They got rid of an old player and they got a guy who has the potential to be a second option on a championship team, in my opinion. If you had somebody else, like if you had Kawhi fully fit, then I don't know what could happen here. It really could be something that works out. But it's like Garland could be one of these guys where we look in 2 years' time and we go, God, they just gave up Harden, like aging, someone who's not proven himself in the playoffs ever, for a guy who is now number two option on a team that's pushing for a championship. Like, the Clippers had to do something to get younger. They were getting older and older and older, but
yeah.
this is
That's
something they
fair.
had to do. So I think for them it makes sense. And Cleveland waited too long. They should have done this in the summer when everyone knew thought they were going to trade Garland already. It's just they prolonged it, and now I don't think they got the optimum return that they could have.
No, didn't get anywhere near what they could have gotten in the summer if they'd done it earlier. But it's one of those things where it's so close to the deadline. You're like, okay, we really want James Harden here. Like, how do we do it? And then it's like panic selling. Same way with the Luka trade last year. Like, the more you look back then now, the fact that we're going to talk about in a second, but they got more picks moving AD on than they did moving Luka on last year, which is mental. So it's kind of one of those where it's like, let's just get this done. What do we need to give up? Okay, let's just do it. A second round pick in Darius Garland is just so little, like compared to what they could have gotten. Sorry, Harden is so little for Darius Garland than a second round pick. So, yeah, it's not a move that makes any sense in terms of the money or the what's gone in both directions. But we'll see if James Harden can step up to the plate and actually do something now for the Cavaliers because they all the pressure is going to be on him now. Everyone's going to be all the lights are back on him again. This is his. So I think he's demanded now out of four organizations in a row. So the Rockets,
Yeah,
yourselves, the Nets,
yeah,
and now the Clippers. Like at some point, you just have to say, okay, maybe I'm the problem here and not the
yeah.
organization. So he really needs to pull his socks up now and actually get something going here this time.
Yeah, and I personally don't see him doing that. And I liked the Cavs more than they did this, to be honest, because I thought that in the regular season they were kind of in cruise control because the last few years, the regular season they did well, but sure, what did that do for them? They fell apart in the playoffs. So I think this time they took it handy. They realized, oh God, we're a bit far behind now. Let's kick it on, and then they kicked it on, and now they're doing
Yeah.
great. And this actually sets them further back in my estimations, to be honest. But you mentioned the AD trade. Let's move into that one. That was the other major trade. So the Mavs, this is a bigger one. We'll obviously focus on the main parts, but the Mavs sent Anthony Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum to the Wizards for Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, Marvin Bagley III, two first rounders and 3 seconds. I really like this move for the Wizards. Before I get your thoughts, I just want to go through a tweet from this is from Raptors Harris is the tag. I don't know what this account is anyway, but I saw this tweet and it's very well laid out. So Wizards GM Will Dawkins pulled off a major masterclass in asset management here. So essentially, he turned Bradley Beal's awful contract into Chris Paul. He then flipped Chris Paul for Jordan Poole. let Poole get his value up for a season, traded him for CJ McCollum's expiring. Then he traded your favorite player, Kyle Kuzma, at his max value to the Bucks for Chris Middleton's expiring. From that, he used McCollum's contract to buy low on Trae Young and used Middleton's contract to buy low on Anthony Davis. At the same time, he drafted Alex Sarr, Keontae George, and Trey Johnson. He's managed. This is a masterclass in NBA contract management and shows the value of expiring contracts. It is absolutely brilliant when you lay it out like that. He basically started off with Bradley Beal, who needed to go, and he turned him and Jordan Poole essentially into Trae Young and Anthony Davis while giving up maybe a couple of firsts in the process, because now they've got their big two next season and a whole host of amazing young players. So the Wizards are suddenly a team that now you wouldn't be surprised if they're fourth or fifth seed next season if Anthony Davis is fully healthy all year and Trae Young and him get something going. And it just gets more depressing by the minute for Mavs fans, because all you got back now for Luca is essentially three firsts: Chris Middleton, AJ Johnson, Malachi Branham, and Marvin Bagley. And that's a pretty depressing return.
Yeah, like it's as there we've had a masterclass in trading players, and we've had a disaster class from the Mavs
Yeah,
and trading players at the same time. And the fact that they've done this together is kind of like how one side knows what to do and the other hasn't a clue. The Mavericks have just blown up the organization in the last 12 months, by starting with that Luca trades and now getting rid of the player they brought in for Luca for. Like it's really poor. Like none of those players that come in are going to make any massive difference to a team. Like none of them are going to be a massive help for Cooper Flag, really. Like unless you're planning to use these first round picks to go and get the next Cooper Flag and the next Cooper Flag. Like the Spurs got very lucky when they were getting all these draft picks. Like the Mavericks aren't going to be able to hit the way that the Spurs hit with Wemby, with Stephon Castle, which your man this year's name has gone out of my head.
Dylan Harper.
Yeah, like that doesn't happen very often that a team gets that lucky and just ends up the second seed all of a sudden. This Mavs team are in big trouble for the next couple of years now. For the Wizards, I like it as well. So they are currently 13 and 36, and it's not this season that they're going to feel the benefit of it, but it
Mm.
will be next season. I think Dante Exum, so he's averaging 9 points, 2 rebounds, and 3 assists. Like if he's playing enough minutes there, I think that will go up. D'Angelo Russell is obviously a solid player. He's been averaging 10, 2, and 4 this season as well. So I think while they wait for Davis to get fit, I think these two can make a bit of a difference at the end of the season. It mightn't help him win many more games, but just help him settle in a bit and then see from next year if they want to keep him or get rid of him. And as you said, they have their big two then with Davis and Trey Young going into next season. And what your man has done is an absolute masterclass to get all these players in so cheap and get rid of the ones he doesn't want. Like Chris Middleton is 34, and now you just get rid of him. You brought in Trey Young, you brought in Anthony Davis, and you're building a young team around them as well. They
Yeah.
haven't taken any nonsense either. Cam Whitmore has been called out a couple of times for being late to training or not showing up and stuff like that. So it's like they're setting a standard in Washington now that is it's only going to lead them in the right way, and I really like it. And I think fair play to them because they've done it a lot quicker than when the Rockets were tanking. It took them a while to get back on, but this Wizards team have just, sorry, the Wizards organization have just turned this around really, really quickly.
I like what they've done, because a lot, because it's like you pointed out there that they've got these two veterans, but they've also got so much young talent, which is a testament to how well they drafted. And like that lineup is like super exciting next season. If you think about it, like right now, let's forget about who they could get in the draft. If it's already Trey Young, Keontae George, Trey Johnson, Alex Sarr, and Anthony Davis, that lineup is really, really
Mm.
good. And then you've got some guys for the bench there. I actually think that Jaden Hardy could be decent, with his physicality. And like you said, these guys will play this season and they'll have some fun out there, to be honest, more than anything, because the Wizards don't want to win this season. Trey Young is going to sit out the rest of the season. So is
Yeah.
Anthony Davis. They want to tank and they want to get maybe a top two or top three pick in what is one of the most stacked draft classes we'll ever see. So they're going to get another amazing player this offseason to add to what they already have. So I think well done to the Wizards, and shame on the Mavs for what they turned Luca into because, like you said, they're just absolutely in the bin now at this point. Cooper Flag looks great the last few weeks, but yeah, are you just going right? We've got Flag now. Well, you had Luca, so you're asking Flag to just
Become
shoulder the
Luca.
load that Luca used to shoulder. And then what happens in 5 years? Are you going to do the same thing? Like, they need to learn from that mistake. Ultimately, it's not going to be good for Mavs fans to sit there and watch Luca thrive in LA, but
Mm.
they need to now correct course here with Flag and build a proper team. And I think getting rid of Davis was probably the right thing to do because he was ultimately dragging them down in the long run and not knowing how much he's going to play and things like that. And yeah, D'Angelo Russell is a bit of a messer. I don't trust him, so I think he'll have fun back with Washington, and they may ship him off in the summer as well because they've got bigger and better things on their mind than whatever D'Angelo Russell can offer them, in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
I don't think the issue is getting rid of Davis. I think the issue is what they started last summer by doing.
yeah,
If they kept Luca and then got Davis in some other fantasy trades that didn't involve getting rid of Luca and they got rid of Davis now, I don't think it would be kicking up as half as much of a fuss as it is. But
yeah,
it's because they brought this guy in as we're getting rid of Luca, but it's okay. We've gotten one of the best centers that the game has ever seen. It's he literally has lived up to his nickname day to day ever since his first game. His first game was against the Rockets. He went off injured after he scored. I think he scored 25 points. He was bullying Şengün all over the place. Went off injured, and
hmm
that's kind of been the story of his life in the year he spent in Dallas. Just get him to Washington, get him out of your minds, forget it ever happened, and try and, as you said, try and build around Cooper Flag now and move on and not make the same mistakes again because there should be heads on stakes in that organization after this. And I know there was. I think he was fired, the GM,
yeah.
after that.
Nico has to
But
be done. Yeah,
yeah, but like things like this, these lads are paid a lot of money to not make these kind of mistakes. And yet they seem someone seems to make one nearly every week. So the
hmm
Mavs are this week's crisis club. Sorry, this year's crisis club. So
yeah,
we'll see who takes over from them next year.
yeah, yeah. I think the you make the point that they ultimately are reacting to having Luca and now ending up with this more than having Davis and this. So this
Yeah.
just this just makes it like you just gone through all of that and then you're like, oh, like maybe we can do something with AD and then we've got Flag and maybe Kyrie will come back and we've got some other good pieces. Yeah, like let's just be positive for this season and now that's just been ripped away slowly, 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 slowly. They looked worse and worse and worse and now they ripped away that fully that that's never going to happen. So, yeah, tough time to be a Mavs fan for sure. But Wizards are on the up and up. So, two very, very different outlooks. I just wanted to get your thoughts quickly on Coby White. He's gone from the Bulls to the Hornets. And he went with Mike Conley for Colin Sexton, Usman Jeng in 3 seconds. That's very low. Seems like the Bulls were they're just giving their players away. But I wanted to get your thoughts because of obviously you being a Rockets fan. I know you had your eye on Coby White, and I think if you only had to give up something like that, 3 seconds, maybe looking at someone like Tari Eason is better than both Sexton and Jeng. So if it was Tari Eason in 3 seconds to get back Coby White and a veteran and Mike Conley, I think that would have made sense for the Rockets to do that.
Yeah, I didn't actually even see that trade had gone through. I was still kind of hoping he was going to go to the Rockets. So you've just
Oh
dropped
yeah,
that bomb me there, and I think my face said a lot if people are watching it. But do you know what? For something that cheap, then the Rockets have missed out big time because I've been saying it now for weeks that they really, really needed to get a guard in before the end of this trade deadline, and he
Hmm.
was like probably the best that was out there they could get, really. So the fact they've let him go to somewhere terrible as well. Like I know they've had a better year this year, but the Hornets still aren't a very good basketball team.
On the play-in
And
right now, man.
oh God, I can't believe they've let that happen without even trying. Well, it seems they haven't even tried to test the waters on it. So unless they have something else up their sleeves for the last hour and a half, I think is what we have left now,
Yeah,
then it's going to be a disappointing season, I think.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I think maybe not disappointed, but it is a missed opportunity for
Yeah.
sure. I think as that's kind of what I wanted to ask you that as a Rockets fan because I know you did like Coby White and you thought maybe that would be a good option. So Yeah, I think the Hornets have done well here. Another good option to add to their young team. And they
Yeah.
bought low on a guy who could help them in the future. And if they make the play in this year, they'll be a scary team to play in the play in the way they've played recently. Like they had the second highest points differential in a month ever in the NBA last in January. So they blew teams out and they played the Sixers. They hammered us. So they've got something going.
Yeah,
And let's
they're
see
on
how they do.
7 wins in a row as well at the moment.
Yeah, they're absolutely flying. I would not want to play them in the play-in or in the playoffs if they continue this. So let's move into Gonchance then. Last weekend, 1 point between the two of us. Not very good. I had Leeds to beat Arsenal. That was a loss. Newcastle to beat Liverpool. That was a loss. Both massive losses. And then
Mm.
I had the Clippers to beat the Suns, which did come off. Clippers continued their run up until they faced the mighty Sixers. That slowed them down there the other night. But then we had your picks for the Blazers to beat the Knicks, and the Knicks won that one decently. Warriors to beat the Pistons. Pistons grabbed it. And the closest you were was Spurs to beat Man City. Spurs mounted a charge second half, but they just couldn't get over the line. But what have you got for us this week? I'm in a 4 point lead right now, 24-20.
So I would just like to point out, first of all, that when we were meant to do this earlier in the week, I picked two basketball games, and I picked the Spurs to beat the Thunder, which happened, and I picked the Wizards to beat the no. Oh, I can't remember the other one, but they both came in, and they were both massive underdogs. And then obviously I had to change it up for to get to the ones for
Ah,
the
yeah.
weekend. So I have kept Everton to beat Fulham. Everton are 14-5. Fulham are evens. Oh, wait, just that? Yeah, sorry, that's right. Yeah, I
Fulham
just
are
can't believe
evens.
how. Yeah, they were the last time I checked. Anyway,
Jesus. At home.
yeah.
Good God. That's a ridiculous price for Fulham to beat someone.
So I've gone with Everton to beat them. At 14-5. I just fancy Everton. I think Everton are they're having another one of their Everton seasons where everything kind of falls apart at once, but they still pick up a couple of big wins. So hopefully they get one this weekend. I've gone with the
Mhm.
Rockets to beat the Thunder, despite the fact that they just blew my mind by not trying to get Coby White. So the Rockets are 9 games behind the Thunder. So why not? It's easy to do. And then the Jazz to beat the Magic. The Jazz are 16-35. The Magic are 25-14. There's something about this Jazz team that they're not as bad as their record says. So they can definitely put it up to the Magic, and why not get one over on them?
Yeah, yeah, okay. I'm so surprised at that Fulham odds. They've drifted out slightly now to just below evens, but like I'll you got the odds at the time, so that still counts. And that was a good pick, to be honest, because Everton are God. I would never put even Fulham like over Everton. I would, even though Fulham are on a good run, I just think Everton could beat anybody. So
Yeah,
yeah, I like that pick. I'm sorry I missed that one myself, but I've got one the same as you. I got the Rockets to beat the Thunder as well. I like the Rockets the run they're on recently, and the Thunder have lost SGA until after the All Star break, and they're on a bit of a downturn, 5-5 in their last 10. So
yeah.
Rockets 31-18 so far, and Thunder are 40-12. So that's on Saturday night at 8:30. So good time for Irish people to
Finally,
watch a good basketball game. Thankfully for you as a Rockets fan to grab one. It's pretty tough with the West Coast games or the
3
kick.
a.m. mostly.
Yeah, constantly. And then I've gone with the Pacers to beat the Bucks. The Pacers have 13 wins, the Bucks have 20. I don't see a major difference between these two teams, and the Pacers have actually got a few wins lately. That's Friday night at 1 a.m. And yeah, the Bucks are tragic. We talked about them
Yeah,
last week without Giannis, so I'm going with the Pacers to grab one there. And then I couldn't pick for football. There was literally none that stood out to me, so I just went with Sunderland to beat Arsenal. Sunderland are a crazy price. They're 11-1.
oh, wow.
And Arsenal are 2-9. Obviously, Arsenal are at home, but Sunderland have been shocking people all season. So why not? Let's get them shocking Arsenal here and making this title race interesting. I just think Arsenal are bound to lose a game they shouldn't lose at some point to make this a little bit more interesting,
Yeah.
given their history. But yeah, let's go with that one. It's probably the maddest one to pick, but it's the only one I could actually get behind, personally, that I saw out there. Because I wasn't going with Spurs to beat United, so that was my pick. But There we go. Another week of gone chance lined up. Still chasing that 5 pointer this season, 21 weeks in. Surely we're going to get it at some point before the season ends.
I had 4 or 5 5 pointers last year, and I think I've had more 0 pointers now this year than I've had actual pointers. So a 5 pointer has to come out of somewhere, has to come out
Yeah.
of something somewhere at some point. So hopefully this weekend.
Yeah, it's mad the difference from this year and last year between getting them, but I don't think I had one last season, so I still need to get one. Even though I'm in the lead, it
Oh,
would be nice to extend that out a little bit. But let's move into football then. Our performance of the weekend is going to Brentford because of their effort against Villa. I think there was a couple of good performances for like Liverpool beating Newcastle was very solid, but we spent a lot of time on that last week. Arsenal beating Leeds was very solid too, but Arsenal have gotten plenty of chat this season. I just think what Brentford have been doing, plus the Irish connection, is something I want to talk about, and we both agreed. A ridiculous kick from Shada to get sent off. Just like, how do you ever think you're going to get away with that? I get
yeah,
he was trying to push him off him, but like you can't do that with your studs. So he got sent off. They managed to get a goal after this. A really really nice finish from
some
Dango
finish.
Ouattara, who we talked about with Harry Bailey when he was on a bit from his time at Brentford or Bournemouth, should I say? He's with Brentford now. And from there, it was just about resilience, to be honest, because Villa had 27 shots, five on target, 2.4 xG, and then Brentford only had six shots, two on target, and 0.38 xG. So finally, Villa lost the game on xG. And they were absolutely frustrated. The shot map is hilarious. It's just so many shots and
Yeah,
so many from inside the box for Villa. But Brentford did what they needed to do, and they showed why their mentality is probably better than a lot of other teams, and that's why they're so high up in the table this season.
yeah. My top line was Villa got filled.
Yeah.
Villa have been doing this to teams all season where they're getting outshot, out XG'd and still coming out with the win. So it was good to see them on the receiving end of one for a change. I honestly can't believe the job that Keith Andrews has done here. I think it's actually immense. And for me, I think the job he has done is better than anyone else's job. I think he should be manager of the season. If they were giving out the award in the morning, I'd be giving it to him because
Right.
so many people had him back to go down. I was one of them. I had him back to finish 18th. I just didn't see how he was going to. Maybe it's my semi hate for set piece coaches as well that kind of put me in that kind of. I was like, how are you going to go from a set piece coach to a head coach? And the job he's done has been incredible. Nathan Collins didn't start this game, but he's been superb for them again this season as their captain. Kelleher, I'm delighted that he looks as good as he did when he was just stepping in for Liverpool every now and again. He's a really, really good keeper. And then just the players they have around him. I think Kevin Shada is some player outside of that mishap at the weekend. He's a big loss to them for their next 3 games now. Igor Thiago is obviously immense as well. There's players dotted all over that team that are just they're so unheralded, but they're brilliant. They're under the radar players. They're centre mids. Jensen,
Mhm.
absolutely class. And I just think they're getting exactly what they deserve for the effort they're putting in all season. They've obviously believed in the coach since day one, and maybe I think we said it last week. Maybe Thomas Frank wasn't the be all and end all for Brentford. It was more the players there than it was Thomas Frank doing anything special. Villa were without five starters. It's the one thing I will say from so no McGinn, no Watkins, no Tielemans, no Onana, no Kamara. So that's pretty much their full first choice. Midfield was out, their captain was out, and their striker was out, but they still put up enough stats to win that game. 2.4 XG. I think you should be winning the game with 25 or 27 shots and 2.4 XG, but Brentford just dug in so much and just got over the line.
Yeah, Abraham had enough chances as well. Like he was
Yeah.
dangerous enough for them to get something out of it, and you still had Rodgers and other players who are of a high quality. Like if you're going to be top four and you're playing a team with 10 men, you need to win it.
At home.
And at home, yeah, exactly. But I think this is just kind of finally caught up to Villa because we've been waiting for this for a long time for something to catch up to them with all their XG wins. Like you said, it's usually what they do to teams. But um, Brentford in general, like that you mentioned Jensen and also like Janelt,
Mm.
Damsgaard, these guys that you like they bought at a low value and they came in and they took some time to bed in, but they just look absolutely perfect in that midfield and they look like they would work at any Premier League team given how much effort they put into every game. And yeah, Andrews, funnily enough, he came as a set piece coach, but I think Brentford have the lowest return of goals per set piece this season in the Premier League, which
Bar
is
Liverpool, I think.
madness. Yeah, that's pretty nuts considering you would think that they would be pretty high up there. So it is interesting they're not just relying on that to do as well as they have done. So yeah, we're delighted for them and delighted for Andrews and the Irish lads over there. But a team that is around where we a lot of people expected Brentford to be is West Ham. Now, I also predicted West Ham to go down, and I predicted Brentford. I don't know where, maybe 14th or 15th, but West Ham have just been awful the majority of the season. And the question you posed is, can West Ham catch Forest? So 6 points between the two sides now. West Ham should have beat Chelsea. They threw away a 2-0 lead at half time. Before that, they did beat Spurs and Sunderland in victories that are important to get them those points. But you're looking at Forest who have been on a decent run themselves. Like they drew a Palace despite having 10 men. They beat Brentford and they also beat West Ham in a game that could have swung this if West Ham won it. And then they got a draw with Arsenal, and that's all in January. So they're on a pretty good run themselves. I would actually say it's more likely that Leeds would slip into it given the amount of draws that they've had this season. And if Forest do beat Leeds Friday night, this will be coming out on Friday. So tonight, if Forest beat Leeds, then Leeds are right down there in it because West Ham are playing Burnley on Saturday, and there might be 3 points between Leeds and West Ham if that is the way it goes come the end of the weekend.
Yeah, so the thing for West Ham is that in their last five, they've picked up two wins, but Forest have still stretched their lead because they have two wins and two draws in their last five. So when it is back to 6 points and West Ham are starting to look a bit better, their two January signings seem to be fitting in quite well. Your man, Tati and Pablo, they've both
Yeah.
been really positive. But I put this question to you because I was kind of thinking that one of us would say that there was some hope for West Ham, but I still don't see them having much hope of turning this around. I still think they've left this. I know it sounds mad to say they've left it too late. We're only at the start of February, but they're only coming into a bit of form now, and that form could very easily drop again. And as you said, unless Leeds are going to go tumbling like a rock now, I don't see where West Ham are going to get enough points to get past Forest at the moment.
Yeah, I think Forest are probably on a decent, like you mentioned, a run, and like I said, the games specifically that they've had, like if they come out and they go and beat Leeds, like then they're in a very, very solid position. I can't see Forest going down with the way they've been playing lately, and they're still in the Europa League and they're still in the FA Cup, so like they're going strong. I don't think that they're going to slow down. Actually, I don't think they're in the FA Cup. Sorry, West Ham are still in the FA Cup,
Yeah.
but like if you look at Opta right now, they have West Ham at an 83% chance of relegation. Leeds are 9% and Forest are 7. So
Wow.
they're
Ooh.
basically writing West Ham off at this point. Now that can change with some results like West Ham. They play Burnley next, but then they have United, Bournemouth, and Liverpool. Not exactly easy. Leeds, they've got Forest, Chelsea, Villa, Man City. Very, very
Also
tough.
horrible. Yeah.
And then Forest have the easiest. Like they've got Leeds, then they've got Wolves. Now, Liverpool after that is difficult, but those are two winnable games where you get 6 crucial points at the same time as the other teams dropping points against tough opponents. That could be Forest kind of completely
Out
out
of
of the
it.
picture
Yeah.
by the end of the month. So I'd like to see where things look if West Ham manage to get the win against Burnley and pick up a point against Bournemouth, and Leeds do lose to Forest and Chelsea, then there could be 2 points between the two of them in a quite a short space of time, and Leeds might start to get a little bit nervous then at that point because they've got Farke as their manager, and I would much prefer Sean Dyche than I would Daniel Farke as my manager in a relegation battle.
Yeah, agreed 100%. That run of fixtures that Leeds and West Ham have are really going to, whoever gets more points out of that is likely are the one that stays up. Or if West Ham are back within 2 or 3 points of Leeds by the end of that run of four games, then I think West Ham will just have they'll just have the know all to get over the line, get the extra couple of results that Leeds mightn't be able to get, and that might be the only way that they stay up. Other than that, if Leeds pick up any more shock points, then I think West Ham could be in for a real tough time. And Burnley are the only ones letting down the promoted sides. The other two have done quite well. Sunderland in particular have been absolutely immense this year. Burnley obviously aren't, and West Ham just need to make sure they get the 3 points against Burnley. It is, yeah, you said they're playing Burnley. If they don't beat Burnley, then I think this is all, forget about anything we've said and just delete this part of the podcast. Because if they don't beat Burnley, then they're doing nothing.
Yeah, and final game of the season is West Ham home to Leeds.
Oh,
So that might be very, very interesting when it comes down to
well, I won't be watching the Arsenal game where they lift the title, so I might watch that one instead.
it. Don't be so sure yet about Arsenal. Let's move into our preview for the weekend of the big game. So we've got Liverpool hosting Man City, 4:30 p.m. kickoff on Super Sunday. Another big game for Liverpool on another weekend. They seem to be coming thick and fast at the moment. Interestingly, both teams coming off battering Newcastle. City three
Yeah.
one in the second leg of the cup, and Liverpool 4-1 in the league. They snapped a 5 game winless streak in the league. Liverpool did with that win over Newcastle. And City did drop 2 points versus Spurs, as we already mentioned, being 2-0 up at halftime. They just looked a completely different side second half. So they needed that win against Newcastle. I hope we see a game where both teams go after it. I think we will, because Liverpool, there's no reason for them not to go for it, because they're outside the top four right now. A point at home does nothing for them, regardless of who they
Mhm.
play. They need to win. So I think they go for it, and that in turn will then kind of make City go for it. So I see a really exciting game here.
Yeah, I agree. I think it is going to be exciting. Both teams are one win, three draws, and one loss in their last five as well. So neither are coming into this as the teams that were going against each other for the title there under Klopp and Pep. These are two teams who are both kind of fundamentally a small bit broken, and I think that's why it is going to be a bit of a high scoring game. It's going to just come down to, can Haaland get his touch back, or can Ekitike keep doing what he's been doing? And obviously, I hope Ekitike keeps doing what he's been doing and Verts keeps finding his feet. But I think it has a belter written all over it.
Yeah, yeah, me too. I think I wrote down that I can't imagine another game where Haaland doesn't score. Like, it
Mm.
seems like it's been so long. And Ekatika is the second person who came to my mind as someone who, at this point, you can't really envision him not scoring because of how well he's been playing lately. I think both sides are going to take each other on and exploit the frailties that they've shown. It's hard to know how this will go tactically, which is funny because you would always back, like, well, last season you would have said Slot got his tactics on like perfectly a number of times. This season, not so much. And then Pep has always been tactical mastermind during his career, but this season he seems to be coming unstuck. Like, he got the better of him by Thomas Frank got the better of him in the second half last weekend. When United played against him, Carrick clearly got the better of him. So I don't know, like, which manager is gonna come out on top, and whether it's just going to be a game where they send the players out there and they go, right, just go for it. Like, I don't know. We don't know what to do against each other because both teams have issues and both teams seem to be doing different things every single week. So I'm seeing a game which could be a bit mad and not really tactically something that's a masterclass, but just a really exciting game on Super Sunday. So I'm going with a 3-3 draw here. I would have went with 4-3 to City if it was in the Etihad, because I think they're a slightly better team. But since it's in Anfield, I'll give the benefit of the doubt to Liverpool to grab a draw here, and I'm going with a high scoring one at that.
I'm not sitting on the fence this week like I did last week when I should have backed Liverpool to batter Newcastle. I'm going 3-1 Liverpool.
Okay, that's the same as what you went for Liverpool and Bournemouth. I think didn't exactly pan out.
I don't care. That's in the past. I don't remember what happened in that game. Did the Bournemouth win? I can't remember. Moving
Yeah,
on.
yeah,
It's time
yeah.
for the power rankings.
Go on. Why are you giving 3-1? What do you think is going to happen?
I just, I just really liked what I saw from Liverpool in the last week, and I know Carabao are nothing special, but they still scored six, and then put four past Newcastle. Now the first 20 minutes against Newcastle, they were really poor, and
Yeah,
I was like, oh God, we're in serious trouble if they don't cop on here. But Florian Wirtz just looks like the player we thought we were signing now. He looks to have really gotten his feet under the table. Ekitike, obviously, we just spoke about him, is on absolute fire. And I just think Liverpool might just be able to run over him in the midfield a bit. I don't think it's easier. Don't think it's easy to do that. But I don't know how fit Rodri is. If they don't start McAllister, then I think they have a far better chance than with him because he seems to have forgotten how to be able to run. And I just like Liverpool to win it. They always seem to do well against City. City have a really poor record at Anfield. And it's on the weekend of my birthday. And the last time Liverpool played City on my birthday, they got walloped at Anfield, so they owe me one.
Yeah, I think that the midfield point is actually good. I was just about to say before you finished that, or after you finished that, they should probably not play McAllister and they could overrun that midfield. But you
Yeah.
got there with the point, and yeah, I want to see Wirtz in this game. And he played really well against Newcastle. I thought against Bournemouth he was really poor, and the week before that he was really good. So he's started to put more good performances together, but it's still not consistent yet. So let's see it in a big game, and let's see how it goes with him and Turkey and Semenyo being the big signings on the other side. Let's see how they get on. I think I've no doubt Semenyo will play well. I think it's maybe down to the other guys. So interesting game, and I'm looking forward to watching it because I think it'll be a high scoring one. So last up, power rankings. I'll go first. Last week I had Seahawks, Pistons, OKC, Patriots, Arsenal, and Man United. So I'm starting off with the same first two, Seahawks and Pistons. Seahawks, obviously, they haven't played since we last did it. They're superstars. They've been brilliant in the playoffs, and I think they're going to win the Super Bowl. Pistons second. They're up to 37-12. If they won their next three games in a row, they'll be on the same record as the OKC. So right now they're the most powerful basketball team. OKC are slipping. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They've won their last three. Patriots move up a spot. Um, Arsenal also move up a spot. Both of them are moving up because OKC are dropping. I think the Patriots, yeah, they've done well all season. They've got to the Super Bowl. Arsenal, good last three games, but questionable before that. The Knicks are a new entry for me at fifth, so OKC are gone. Because I think the Knicks winning eight in a row, moving up to 33-18, and only being a few games back from the Pistons and starting to push them a little bit down the stretch is really good considering how poor they were over Christmas. They've really bounced back. So they're in at fifth, and I left United in at sixth. I didn't move them up for beating Fulham with a last minute winner, but I still think they shouldn't drop out because of that. The three wins in a row now, the best streak in the Premier League, and they look solid enough in the top four. So they're staying in sixth right now for me.
Yeah, so mine is extremely similar to yours in the fact that we have the exact same six teams. So I have dropped out OKC and Newcastle, who were fourth and fifth for me last week. OKC have just been on a really poor run of form. The Pistons, as you said, are the best team in with the way things are going at the moment, and the Knicks on the run they are just deserve to be in there as well. So my top three are the same as yours, and they're the same as they were for me last week. So Seahawks, Pistons, Patriots. The Knicks come in at four for me, taking over from OKC. United come in at fifth because I hate Arsenal, but I can't take them out, so they stay sixth.
Okay. So United are where?
Fifth.
Fifth.
Fifth. Yeah.
There we
Arsenal
go.
are sixth.
You've got United ahead of where I have them. I didn't think you would put them in, but I think right now in
It's hard
terms of
to ignore
form,
them.
yeah, in terms of form they are on, and there's not many teams that are on a good run. So yeah, no, I'm happy that you put them in there. To see them on the list is nice, and I think the Knicks definitely needed respect from both of us given what they've done
Mhm.
over the last couple of weeks. So happy to see them in both of our lists. But that's another episode wrapped. Episode 60 done. Plenty more to come for you. Obviously, the Super Bowl recap will be next week. And then we'll be looking forward to the draft and free agency in the NFL, which is always a fun time. And the NBA will be taking a bit more of a forefront look in our minds, and then we'll be building up to the World Cup. So plenty to come. Really exciting year ahead. But thanks for listening as always, and I'll throw it to you to wrap it, Shane.
Yeah, thanks guys. As James said, there's so much coming. So hit subscribe, leave comments, hit the like button. It all means a lot to us, and we'll see you. James will see you again on Saturday. I'll see you all next week.
What do I do?
Welcome back to another episode of Who's Got the Ball with Shane and James.